Okay, so this is going to be a video of my level 86 now, um, Holy Shock Zealer, or I believe the term for them is Tesladin. I don't know where that came from, but so first I've got some explaining to do. So first of all, I made a video like a week or two ago about how my plan for this build was to be a Holy Shock slash Fist of the Heavens Paladin using so being like a hybrid with my plan was to do Zeal, Holy Shock, and then with the same weapon setup be able to switch moves to Fist of the Heavens and Conviction and kind of be a caster melee hybrid. So as you can see, that's not how I inspect now, because that build did not work. And the reason for that really is that, first of all, Fist of the Heavens, even when I maxed it out and I have all my, I have my good gear and, I had Conviction to a pretty high level, it does not do enough damage. I think it only got the lightning damage up to, 3.2 or something K. The thing is that Fist of the Heavens could be pretty good if you have tons of undead enemies, like in Chaos Sanctuary, for instance. But the thing about it is, even there, the thing that really does the damage, that allows you to get AoE damage out of it, is Holy Bolt. So you can't just max Fist of the Heavens and your Holy... You have to max Holy Bolt. I think that's kind of the real killer for Fist of the Heavens, is you really need the Holy Bolt. And I just... it just wasn't practical, just didn't do nearly enough damage. Also, the reality of being in combat and having to do this single target thing for for 5 enemies that are mixed in a group of 15 or 20 enemies, and you're trying to deal with them all at the same time, and one uses this and Conviction and the other uses Zeal and Holy Shock, is just totally unworkable and basically a pain in the ass. And so basically it was to use foe, I would have to be kiting around, doing foe, and it just was not practical at all. Because I couldn't do the damage. Maybe it would be more practical if you could get super high damage and guaranteed one-shot kill on everything. But that was just not gonna happen. Not gonna happen at all with my gear. So then I tried a different build. Then I became so for a while there I was basically functioning as a Holy Shock Zealer with 40 wasted skill points. And so it's alright, this is stupid, I should try something else. But I'm committed to the Holy Shock Zeal thing. So what I did then was my thought. So but you have to deal with lightning immunes, right? So then what I tried was a Vengeance setup. So you're a Holy Shock Zealer with a couple points in Zeal, Holy Shock maxed, Resist Lightning maxed, and then a point in Vengeance, and then you did 10 each in Resist Fire and Resist Cold, and couple points in Conviction, and then I think that was it. Does that eat up all my skill points? Maybe I put a couple extra ones in Zeal for the attack rating. But so that was a totally viable build. The only thing was it just wasn't as good as what I do now. And this is has to do with the difficulty of running alternate setups in Diablo 2. It's just, I don't know, maybe other games. But I don't like to run alternate setups. I don't like to have a different setup on Switch. I don't like to do any of that. To me, for a build to be truly viable, you need to be able to use, 1, maybe 2 skills, and not have to switch your gear, and not have to do all this other crap. And you have to be able to deal. You have to be able to deal with immunities, but not just in isolation. You need to be able to deal with immunities in and around other monsters that are not immune. Okay, it's never the it's well it's not it's rarely the case that you have this like group, just isolated group of like 5 lightning immunes, and you could do your switch and attack them and then move on. No, the lightning immunes are all mixed in. In the case of like Burning Souls, they're teleporting all around in and out of other different monsters that are not immune. So you're trying to deal with everything, and a lot of times, you know, you have like 10. You'll generally have more non-immune monsters, so you have like 10, 15, 20 of those around, and then 2, 5, 10, whatever immunes around, and one setup is not good for dealing with your normal setup's not good for dealing with immunes, and your immune setup's not good for dealing with normals. So it just creates a fucking headache every time, and you're switching all this shit, and you're taking damage, and it's a pain in the ass, basically. And so, to my mind, if a build is really going to be viable and like workable, or just like convenient and like easy/fun to play, you kind of need to keep your gear switching and alternate setups to an absolute minimum. And so finally what I landed on as the best build, and by the way, in these builds, it's not just a matter of like inconvenience, it's like I would die. I was dying a lot, taking tons of damage, having to use tons of potions and full rejuves and shit. And so to me, if you have to constantly feed your life and mana, then your gear is failing you. To my mind, I count a build that's like, maybe viable is not the word, but like, I count a build that's good is if you could, complete pretty much every area in the game without having to resort to using potions consistently. Potions should not be a part of your build, is what I'm trying to say. So what I landed on, and I'll do the skills now, is your basic elemental Zealer setup. So in this case, it's Holy Shock. So max Holy Shock, max the synergy, resist lightning, and then max Zeal for attack rating. I put just 1 point in Holy Shield. This is where you have a lot of leeway. I also maxed Sacrifice to up my physical damage. And then I dumped the rest in Salvation, which is another synergy to Holy Shock. And that was, honestly, the best setup that I could come up with, like, far and away. This is just like a lot more workable than a Vengeance, and certainly the foe setup was just flat stupid. So like, I'm not even gonna compare it. But like the Vengeance setup is like, it's just useless. It's like not better than just upping your physical damage by maxing Zeal and Sacrifice. It's just not better than that. At least with my gear, and of course so I'll go into that now. So the gear, kind of the whole reason I made this, so Griffin's kind of the best helm for this. It's super good, adds tons of damage. Like if I were to take it off, like yeah, I go from 7.5 to 9.8 with the Griffins. Plus, I put an increased attack speed jewel, and that gets me to the highest breakpoint, and so it's even more than that. So I have a 15 IS 7 all res jewel in this. Using a phase blade, and I'll get into my weapon in a bit, you need 75% increased attack speed to get to the fastest Zeal. So, alright, so then I have High Lords, obvious choice. Skill point, really good. You really need skill points for this build. Increased attack speed, you need that. Lightning resist is absolutely necessary. Look at that. I have like charms, so it's set up. So with resist lightning, I think you get 1 point extra max res per 2 invested base points invested in the skill. Hard points, not extra bonus from gear. And then Deadly Strike, that's not a huge deal because my physical damage is like pretty low. Yeah, it's just dope. Yeah, it's awesome. Haas, I don't think there's really any other choice for this build. Oh, that's a lie. I think a Sanctuary would be pretty good. An Exile would maybe not be as good because I think the skills are very useful if you want to do lightning damage. Plus, this has a bonus to attack rating. Plus, it has big res, like huge res, which you're going to need if you're using what I am using for armor, which is Enigma. Now, the reason I use Enigma is kind of just like for fun. Like, I just think it's cool. And honestly, the whole like electricity, like Tesladin teleports a electrical skill. I mean, you know, a lightning skill. And so honestly, it just like fits the theme, and it's really good. And I found this dope 15ED 3-socket Archon plate, and I wanted to make an Enigma. You know, a lot of people, given the difficulty that I have had getting to like high res, honestly, Chains of Honor would probably be better, especially considering it has lifesteal. But Enigma is just super cool. It's just super fun, and it's fun to teleport around. The boots, Sandstorm Trek. This is basically for the stats and the faster hit recovery. And yeah, that's it. I mean, you have a lot of leeway here. I thought very seriously about using Alder's boots. I thought about using IK boots. I thought about using Tyrhanch. Thought about using Gores. I thought about using Marowalks for a little bit, but that's, yeah. The strength requirement is too high to make that practical. But these, basically, the only thing that might be better than this is if I were to get like a like really dope, like, you know, run walk FHR like tri-res boots with like Dex or something. Do boots still get Dex on them? Anyway, that would be like the only thing that I think might be better. I don't know. If someone has better ideas for this build, then please tell me. And then this ring, it's kind of basic and yet like really good. Like I said, I have trouble getting the high res, so this is like tri-res and lifesteal. So like, it just fits. Like it just works, you know. I actually have one ring that's like slightly better than that, which is like this 8 life, you know, 1% more, and then a little more lightning resist and a little less fire res, plus like, you know, huge, like basically 0 max damage attack rating. But actually, the cold damage, usually I don't give a shit about cold resistance, but when your cold resistance is that low, like 9, then you actually do get into situations like, for instance, the second wave in Bale runs, they have those like ice mage guys, and then also you're taking like real damage from those guys when you get down to like 9. But you get it up to like 30, you know, 30, like I don't know, like 30 plus, 25 plus, I don't know. Like you can't worry about cold res that much, but you want to get it above a certain minimal level. Ravenfrost cannot be frozen, Dex, mana, attack rating, dope. Everything's dope. Dracules, I had a tough choice with on gloves, but in the end it was like not so tough because Dracules are just like, you can't. They're just, the life tap is just ridiculous. Like it's so good that it's like, even though it doesn't have increased attack speed, it doesn't have like a resistance like fire res. Like I would really like to use Laying of Hands on this build if I could, but I just couldn't. The life tap was just too powerful. It's just like ridiculous. And then the strength is good. I use the strength, life after kill. Like it's just so good. You know, open wounds is good, I guess. Open wounds, whatever. And then here are some of the tougher choices. So for a while I was using arachnids, okay, but what I wound up using in the end was nose coil. So the 10% increased attack speed, and the reason, well, I'll get to this. So I was for a long time using what you would expect me to use, which was a Crescent Moon Phase Blade. When I switched to a physical immune setup, and actually when I was doing Vengeance too, I actually found the better choice was Azarath. The reason I use this is, even though under certain circumstances this does more damage because the negative light res is so powerful, and it's good because it has static field and it has ignore target's defense, which is useful for like it doesn't. I don't think it applies to like elites or bosses, or maybe elites. No, probably not elites, and definitely not bosses. But it applies to like normal minions, so it like minimizes the need for attack rating. Most of the time, but you still need it for bosses, so you kind of still need it anyway, right? Which is why it's like, so but the thing about Azarath is, so first of all, the minions that were most annoying were things like the guys in Chaos Sanctuary that sap your mana, the like not the wraiths, but the whatever. Actually, all the most annoying minions like sap your mana. Like, it's so freaking annoying. So basically, a lot of the most annoying minions I had to deal with were undead. And so this has Sanctuary when equipped, and it's just like, yep, that's super good. Like, it just totally makes it easier to deal with undead. Second of all, 1L skills, okay, dope. 30 increased attack speed, so this only has 20. So when I had the 30, the extra 10 from this paves the way to actually get to 75. There's 2 breakpoints, so there's 55, and then 75 is the fastest frame. 75 attack speed plus on a phase blade will get you the fastest frames. So that extra 10 over the 20 from Crescent Moon paved the way. So I already had this, so I had 15, 20, 35, and then with this is 65. So I'm only 10 away. Nose coil, dude. Nose coil. Okay. So it gives you the increased attack speed, gives you lifesteal on hit, which is also good, and gives you strength and 2 mana after kill. So it's like, it's just good, good, good. Okay, so you do miss a little bit of damage from the arachnids, and my teleport is a little slower than it used to be because I don't have the cast rate. Luckily, I still have slow target by 10%. that one useless stat that they both share. But yeah, so like this build, because of my lack of res, well, actually my res is pretty good right now, I gotta say. And I only have 8% damage reduction, and my defense is not that high. What I'm trying to say is this character is actually pretty fragile. So the way that I deal with that is, first of all, Sanctuary is a good way to deal with that because it knocks back undead minions. So the way that I deal with that is I stack. I mean, I have the life tap, but I also like stack, if you notice, life stolen on hit, especially because my physical damage is not very high, so I stack it way up. So I have 13, 23, yeah, 27% life stolen on hit. And by the way, you'll notice I have a flawless skull in here, and you'll be like, of all things, why this? The reason is, I was actually running into, surprisingly, I was running into kind of a big problem with mana. Like all those annoying minions that sap your mana, like, and it's partially the reason that I also teleport. So I was running into, like, it was getting to be a pain in the ass. Like, I was losing mana, like, all the time. I was running out of mana, and I was just downing mana pots, like, left and right. So I was like, it was just becoming such like it was just like a quality of life thing. Like, I just like, please can I get some mana like stolen on this frickin' build, because I was running out of mana so often, and I didn't know how to get it. And so I just decided, like, yeah, I'm gonna, because a while I had. So without the nose coil, I don't reach. So for a while, I had like a shale in here, so I could reach 75. But that was like, it brought me to like 85, which like pissed me off because I had like 10 wasted attack speed or whatever. And then so I found this way so I figured out, oh, how about switch to nose, and I'll put in a flawless, a perfect skull. And honestly, this build, like, it's funny how like just a few tweaks totally change how well your build does. Like that switch alone, and adding more points into Zeal, like, really brought this build, like, it was just the tipping point from, like, you know, needing a lot of pots and like taking damage to, like, now I get through a game, I very rarely have to use pots, and I take very little damage, I keep my life up, and yeah, it's dope. I also made a CTA for this guy. Just to give it that. And along the way, just by the way, I found a Cham rune, a Tao's armor, and a pretty dope Leviathan with perfect damage reduced. And I found this guy with 82 level 3 life tap charges. So other parts of the build, you see my attack rating is low, so I use Demon Limb for that, and it's like kind of like even more necessary than it usually. Usually I have Demon Limb and it's like a nice bonus, but for this build it's kind of like approaching like necessary levels to have it. So yeah, let's get into like some gameplay here. Yeah, and you'll see my so my Merc is kind of my standard setup. I'm still not totally happy with that. Yeah, look at this. This is just like, look at it, Black Souls, no problem, right? No problem. And that has to do with the Sanctuary aura and the fact that I boosted my physical damage. So yeah, like even on lightning immunes, I just use my Zeal with Holy Shock on. I don't change a thing when I deal with lightning immunes. I just smack them because that's what's so great about Azarath. So I probably have like 1k physical damage and then another 1000 damage that's not lightning. So I have like 2000 plus non-lightning damage. So that's very useful. So that's how I deal with lightning. Oh, this is gonna be a bitch. Oh shit! I fucked up. I didn't mean to charge there. Yeah, so my Merc, I'm not totally satisfied with my Merc setup. I might tweak it a little bit. The only thing that's kind of a real drawback to the way I have this setup is I have 0% crushing blow, and I don't have like on Crescent Moon, I don't have static on cast. So dealing with like bosses and like really high health monsters is a pain in the ass, and so that makes putting a crushing blow on my Merc like very important. So I have thoughts of like maybe switching out the Reaper's Toll for a Hon Sudan, but I kind of don't want to do that because Reaper's Toll is so freaking good, especially when you have low attack rating. It lowers their defense, so it makes it easier to hit them. And actually, my attack rating, when you max Zeal, my attack rating is not that bad at 8k. Like, it's pretty good, but it's not like totally great. So yeah. So I'm probably gonna have to keep the Reaper's Toll, and yeah. So as I say this, I'm talking about tweaking the setup, but like I think I'm probably gonna keep it in the end. Yeah, I think I probably will. But yeah, so my damage is 10k. That honestly sounds a lot more impressive than it is. Because minions have resistance. Like, I mean, you'll see. I'm doing good damage, but it's not like nuts. Like, it's not like crazy. I have my other Zealer, my like level 91 Zealer, that I might make another video for because I have a slightly different setup on him these days. Did I miss anything? No. So that character actually, it's kind of funny that now I have two Zealers, one elemental, one physical. It's a little silly because I intended this character to be a lot different, but it wound up pretty the same. Because Zeal is so good. Like, Zeal, like, first of all, in my opinion, Paladins are the best class, and Zeal is like, it's unbelievable. The problem with like Vengeance setup is like, you don't realize switching from Zeal to Vengeance actually how much like defense you lose. The fact that Zeal is like this uninterruptible, super fast attack, you stun them, and you're popping off all these like chance to cast shits. Like, it's just to take Zeal off in favor of like a single hit. a single hit attack like sucks. So when you're a Zealer, you want to stay a Zealer, man. You want to keep Zeal on really all the time. When you're not doing that, like, you're not having, it's a pain in the ass, let me tell you. Wow. I feel like I had a thought like 10 minutes ago and I just went on like 5 digressions in a row and now I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. But anyway, oh yeah, so like my damage is good, but it's not like, it's not totally amazing. Like my physical damage dealer actually does bail runs like faster. And he does not have this much damage, or like quote unquote damage. So minions have resistances, and so the damage is not quite so as impressive as you think. But I like it. It's like I have like 4 different types of damage going. In fact, I probably have like 100 fire damage from my enchant stick. But yeah, I mean, you could see it's pretty good. Like, it's working for me. And with the CTA, like 2.3k life, 321 mana, which is nice. It's nice to get the extra mana. And it helps your merc survive a lot. Oh, so look at this. So, immune to lightning, Lister. And I'm going through them, I'm working through them. And I had Decrepify on there. Not that hard, a little slow, but not that hard. Given that like 8k of that 10k is lightning, well, it's pretty good, right? It's pretty good. So yeah, that's a pretty quick bail run, huh? Yeah, it's so funny. In my other setups, I was like, I couldn't even tell you what a pain in the ass, like, just doing a chaos run was. But Azarath is just a dope weapon. I think it's underrated. And yeah, so this is the tough part. This is where the lack of crushing blow comes in. So this is like a little slow, right? I mean, it's not so bad, but like, I'm kind of like whiffing a fair bit. Like, I'm not getting the hits in. Although it's good because he has Decrepifying on now, so that's good for me. But yeah, so just a little slow, isn't it? Yeah, nothing good this time. I actually found that Leviathan off bail. Yeah, I guess that's a great thing about like running around with Enigma, is you actually have like pretty significant magic find at all times. So I found a Tal's armor and a levy, and the levy happens to be nice. And this is not related to magic find, but I also found a Cham rune. All right, so that was good. I only found one other Cham rune. So I could make a Zod if I wanted to. Well, actually, I already could because I have a couple of Jaws, and I could make those into a Cham. But now I could just turn those 2 into a. Anyway, so that's the build. You can make this build. There are like a billion variations of this build. You could put in a lot of substitutes for the gear. I think it's like this setup. I think the physical damage setup, to my mind, is the best. I mean, you could do, some people do like a weird, like they do like, there are other people do like Holy Shock and Holy Freeze and like switch between the two. I don't know. I think that's stupid. I would rather just up my physical damage and deal with it that way. But of course, it depends on your gear. But yeah, this was the setup I landed on. If anyone has suggestions for how to make it better, I would very much like to hear them. The only thing I wish I had was more fire res. And the charms. So I put a couple offensive aura things, a couple just like random, like, I'm kind of low on like charms. I don't have really great charms, but a couple like attack rating things. These are like max AR, but it's mostly for the faster hit recovery. So with charms, that's a pretty nice one. I should put that on my boson, really. So most of these are like resistance, and if I could get another stat, that's nice. So like resistance or faster hit recovery, so I can get to 48 faster hit recovery and get my lightning resists up And fire res 70 is fine. I wish it was like neater. I just I wish I had better res. But I don't know. So this is it. I'm pretty happy with it. Turned out good. Yeah. Anything else I was gonna say? Not really. I do like to teleport. It's kind of fun to teleport. And so yeah, I would. Oh yeah, like I said, so there are a lot of substitutions. Like Shaco would be fucking awesome. You know, so many. So like I don't know, like a duress would be good. You know, like so many options. Crescent Moon actually like. The Crescent Moon is a very good weapon for this build, but I just find that Azarath is a little bit better. And Crescent Moon is cheap. It's cheap as shit. So yeah, so many substitutes, so many different gear choices, so much you could do with the skills. So there's just so much variation in this build. There are a million ways to do it, and like so many can be successful. So yeah, I think it is a build you can make pretty cheaply. But honestly, the best ultimate cheap Zealer build is the Holy Freeze, because it's so dope. But yeah, man, this is just like it just shows you like Zeal is such a good skill. And Paladin, just to do a quick ode to the Paladin, Paladin is the best class in the game, dude. Like, it's just like think of the skill tree. Like, almost every one of these skills has like a full like has builds built around them, and with multiple variations. Using like different auras, you know, like Zeal alone. There's like there's like 15 different Zeal builds. Like, I mean, that just shows you how good Zeal is, right? But you got Hammerdins, Fodins, you know, Chargedins. There are Sacrifice Paladins, Smiters, Vengeance, blah blah blah. Like, it's so good, and the defensive and offensive auras. You just have like this incredible toolkit. Like like so many things. Like you want to increase your attack speed, Fanatics. Deal with undead, take away resistance. Like you just have this unbelievable toolkit to deal with like almost any situation in the game, and plus just like random like, oh, you want to run fast? Like just put some points in vigor and run fast. You know what I mean? Like, is vigor worth 4 points? Honestly, it could be. And redemption, like I thought about putting a point in redemption, but 5 skill points at it, it's not quite worth it. Salvation, like you could have a player who has shit gear, no resistance, 1 point in this, just 1 point, and you have like 60 already. Like it's like, so Paladins are super dope. This is a pretty dope build, yeah. So this is the Tesladin at long last. This is what this is what it wound up being. You know, not the Zeal Fodin, that didn't work out, but. Yeah, so this is probably like ridiculously long right now. But yep, there it is. All right, see you guys later. I might have more videos at some point. I don't know. All right.